So next in the series, we'll be talking about a staphylococcal food poisoning. So as we are discussing about the topic related with food poisoning that is caused by different pathogens. Now the next pathogen that we'll be talking about is how staphylococci are responsible for causing food poisoning. Now, when you talk about a staphylococci as a reason for your food poisoning, so basically these are responsible for producing foodborne intoxication, is a term wherein these staphylococci produce exotoxins, and the exotoxin that is produced by them is called as enterotoxins. So basically, these enterotoxins are released during the growth cycle of the Staphylococcus aureus, and they go and target your intestinal cells, and this results into abrupt and severe onset that results into symptoms like your nausea and your vomiting. Now, as you all know, what is the morphological characteristics of your Staphylococcus aureus? So, when you try growing out Staphylococcus aureus on any of your general purpose medium, you will find that they grow as your circular smooth colonies. The colonies are cream white in color, and when you perform the microscopic observation, you can find that these appear as grams positive cells, and you'll find them appearing in cocci, bunches, or in clusters. So that is the macroscopic and microscopic observation of your staphylococci under your microscope as well as in your culture plates. Now, talking about how your S. aureus can be considered as one of the important human pathogen. So, we all know that S. aureus is basically primary reservoir for both humans and animals, and these are carried up by around 50% of humans. So, they reside in your nostrils, skin, hair as your normal flora, and then depending upon as opportunistic pathogen, these staphylococci are responsible for causing infections. Now, this is a diagram that talks about how staphylococcal intoxication is caused. So, you can see it is represented in a flow sheet manner whereby food containing your protein or foods that are rich in protein, when you are cooking it, so during application of your high heat, your bacteria usually gets killed, but later on, when the same food is handled by the worker or the chefs, then it is possible that through contamination, these particular bacteria can enter inside your food. And if you are holding that particular food at room temperature for a longer period of time, that gives these particular bacteria a reason to keep on multiply, and so they multiply, and as they are multiplying, they start releasing the toxins. Later on, even if you reheat your food, what happens, your staphylococci that are your vegetative cells, they get killed, but the toxins still remain in the food. And when you are consuming such particular food, okay, your food does not contain staphylococci, but it does contain the toxins that have already got released into the food, because the heating does not kills or denatures your toxins. So toxins that are produced by your staphylococci, these are heat stable toxin. So even when you reheat your food, the toxins remain in the food, and that is how when you consume, they become a reason for your staphylococcal intoxication. Now, your severity of illness will totally depend upon what is the amount of contaminated food that one has consumed. It again depends upon how much toxin was present in the food that the person has ingested, then the general health of the person will be also responsible. If the immunity of the person is good, he or she will be able to resist it. But yes, if the immunity is low, then he will be more prone to these intoxication. Age of the victim is also important as far as severity of illness is concerned. This is a diagram that explains about how your staphylococcal enterotoxins are acting on the system. So basically, as the name is enterotoxins, so your enterotoxins are released, and the target site is your intestinal epithelium. Once they hit your intestinal epithelium, that stimulates your nervous system, and this nervous system then sends the signal to the brain that develops your vomiting like sensation. So same thing, your staphylococci penetrate your gut lining, activate your local as well as systemic immune response. They release inflammatory mediators that become a reason for vomiting. So staphylococcal intoxication, these are disturbing your large intestine. As a result, water cannot be reabsorbed in the large intestine, and that results in the clinical signs and symptoms of your diarrhea. Now, coming to what are the properties of staphylococcal enterotoxins. So, these enterotoxins, as I already said, that these are resistant to heat treatment, and that is why even if you are heating your food, the enterotoxins withstand that high temperature. These are stable over a wide pH range, and they are also resistant to gastrointestinal and other proteolytic enzymes. So, in your stomach also, these toxins are remaining, and that is how they penetrate your intestinal epithelium, and the entire process of staphylococcal intoxication proceeds. These are some of common food that are associated with your food poisoning. So generally your poultry, meat, different types of salads, creams, pastries, these are high in protein content, high in sugar content, and your staphylococci, or basically these foods provide an ideal environment for the growth of staphylococci. As a result, these are frequently contaminated by your staphylococci, and consuming them is responsible for intoxication. Now, as far as diagnosis is concerned, one can go for clinical evaluation as well as a laboratory evaluation. When you talk about the clinical evaluation, it is based on the clinical history of the patient. Once the patient consumes any particular food item that is contaminated with your S. aureus, that results into severe nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramps and pain, bloody stool, loss of appetite, etc. So these are some of the symptoms that are associated with staphylococcal food borne intoxication. When you go for laboratory evaluation, here you need to confirm the etiological agent. So this can be generally done by performing gram staining. One can also go for a biochemical testing by giving the stool sample. So the stool sample of the patient is collected, and the sample is tested for Staphylococcus aureus, and if all the tests become positive, then the condition of gastroenteritis is confirmed. Symptoms can start up to 6 hours, and it can last till 4 days. And it may be severe in small percentage of patient, which will totally depend upon their low immunity system. So again, if the immunity is good, the patient will be able to resist. But if the immunity is low, the patient will be prone to that infection. Then this particular slide gives you a list of preventions. So you are not supposed to heat your food sample again and again. Even if you are doing so, what is happening? You are killing the organisms, vegetative cells but your toxins are remaining, and still if you are consuming such type of food that can be responsible for your intoxication, then washing your fruits and vegetables before you consume them, because fruits and vegetables, these comprise of your fleshy material, and in these they are fresh tissues. What happens, your S or S can be easily growing and releasing the toxins. So you can go through, have a look at these particular preventive measures. Ideally, before consuming food, we are supposed to wash our hands with soap and water, and same thing is applicable before you prepare your food. If you are suffering from any eye, nose infection, you are not supposed to handle your food item, because these are your common residents, so they can enter into your food. So that can be again a reason for entry of S or S in your food item. This slide basically talks about the different treatment methods. So once the patient starts showing the signs and symptoms of your intoxication or gastroenteritis, so basically what happens, water is getting lost from the system, and the most easiest way is to replenish the lost water is go on for oral rehydration system. So the doctors give you these formulated medicines you are supposed to take. Apart from that, relying or consuming antibiotics as prescribed by the clinician would also help in preventing cases of intoxication. These are the references from where the matter has been taken. Thank you.